Kanika was a cunning minister of Dhritarashtra, the blind king of Hastinapura in the epic Mahabharata. Kanika was learned, shrewd, cunning, and very crafty. He earned the name Kanika Neeti because of his political philosophy. Kanika Neeti is encapsulated in one chapter at the end of Sambhava Parva, which is an Upaparva of the Adi Parva. This Parva dwells on the origins of the principal characters in the Mahabharata. After Drupada had been defeated by the Pandavas at the behest of their guru Drona, he gave back to Drupada the half of the kingdom which lay south of the Bhagirathi river. After Drupada had been defeated by the Pandavas at the behest of their guru Drona, he gave back Drupada the half of the kingdom which lay south of the Bhagirathi river, while he became king of the territory of the north. Drupada thereafter resided in Kampilia, burning with the desire to seek revenge against his childhood friend and now lifelong enemy. Meanwhile, Dhritarashtra installed Yudhishthira as the heir, apparently called as Yuvaraja. Within a brief period of time, Yudhishthira excelled as an administrator. Bhimasena finished his mace education under Sankarshana, and Arjuna received from Drona the celestial Brahmashira weapon. The Pandava brothers extended the Kuru kingdom through their probes. This unbridled and growing prosperity of the Pandavas caused Dhritarashtra to lose sleep. This sets the stage for the last chapter in the Sambhava Parva, Kanika Neeti. Dhritarashtra summons Kanika, one of his ministers and who specialized in political and philosophical reigns. He was one of the main counsels to the king and laid bare his growing insecurity on account of the Pandavas' popularity and strength. When Dhritarashtra found himself bereft of sleep several years later on hearing Sanjaya's words that his peace mission to the Pandavas was crumbling, he sent for Vidura, his half-brother, setting the stage for what is known as vidura-niti. Kanika started by advising Dhritarashtra that a king's duty was to always strive and extend the boundaries of his kingdom, to be ever ready to take advantage of the faults of his enemies, and to be ever prepared to strike. An enemy once subdued deserves no mercy and must be destroyed, were his words. His actual words were, "The dead can never inspire any fear." Tolerating an enemy was like allowing a thorn to remain embedded in the flesh, says Kanika, which that thorn would soon turn into a festering sore. But what if a king was unable to strike at his foe? What was the advised course of action in such situations? Kanika counseled that a king must feign blindness and deafness, that he treats his bow as if made of straw, and to wait for the opportune moment. Just as the branch and twigs of a tree which have been uprooted cannot survive, so cannot the allies and supporters of a foe survive if the principal enemy is destroyed. According to Kanika, he believed in the destruction of one's enemy. Kanika said that any and all of the four means could be employed to defeat one's foes: conciliation, money, creating disunion among allies, or outright force. In other words, Sama, Dam, Bhed, and Dand. Dhritarashtra asked Kanika to elaborate on how the four could be employed to subjugate an enemy. So Kanika chose to employ a fable, a story, to make this point. Thus starts the story of the five unlikely friends: the jackal, the mongoose, a tiger, a mouse, and a wolf. In a jungle lived a jackal with four of his friends. Despite their best efforts, none of them could lay their hands or sink their teeth on a deer that lived in the forest. Frustrated in their efforts, they all met, and the jackal proposed that the mouse nibble away the feet of the deer, after which the tiger could easily kill it. They agreed upon the plan, and it was executed successfully. The deer, dead and waited to be eaten, was lying lifeless on the ground. Just then the jackal proposes that his companions go perform their ablution before feasting on the deer. They all agreed. The tiger was the first to return. He saw the jackal deep in thought. When asked, the jackal replied that the mouse had said that even though the credit for the deer's hunt properly belonged to the mouse, it would be the tiger who would feast on it. His pride touched to the quick. The tiger spoke that he would henceforth eat only what he had slain himself, Saying this, he departed. The next to return was the mouse. The jackal said that the carcass of the deer had been poisoned since it had been touched by the tiger's claws. Therefore, he, the jackal, would not eat it. However, no complications about killing and eating the mouse. The terrified mouse crammed into its hole and disappeared. The third to return was the wolf. To the wolf, the jackal said that the tiger was angry with him and that he had expected soon with his wife. The jackal advised the wolf to do as he thought fit. The wolf fled in fear of the tiger. Now remained only the mongoose. When the mongoose returned, the jackal told him that he had defeated the tiger, the wolf, the mouse through the strength of his arms, and the mongoose could eat the deer only after defeating him. The mongoose realized that he stood no chance against the jackal, who had defeated his stronger foes, who are bigger and stronger than him, so he also fled. The field was thus clear. The jackal, with his intelligence, eliminated the wolf, tiger, mouse, and mongoose without firing a shot, in a manner of speaking. Having made his point with the story, Kanika elaborated further. He says, whether a son, brother, king, or even a teacher, if they turn adversarial, they have to be slain. Whether through deception, poison, or any other means, they deserve no mercy. Deception was an essential part of his stratagem. Anger was never to be revealed. A smile to be adorned on the lips before and even while striking the enemy. Shedding fake tears also for the dead foe was also acceptable. This is also what Bhishma tells Yudhishthira in the Raj Dharma Parva. Kanika continues and says, a king could prosper only if he killed his enemies, just as a fisherman prospered only by catching and then killing fish. But that is not the end of the matter. Even the house of the one condemned to death had to be destroyed. Ruthlessness was the name of the game. The analogy Kanika used in this of a razor, to be an unpitying as the razor is sharp, to hide one's intent like a razor is hidden in the leather sheath. His dependents or allies, just as a razor leaves not a single hair on the chin. He advised the king that neither one should trust too much or too little, or nor should the king confide too much in anyone. Spies were to be relied upon. Kanika advocated placing spies in places of amusement, gardens, temples, dining halls, streets, and even in every important office. It was only prudent for the king to ensure that none, neither friends nor foe, knew his plan of action beforehand. Since people don't approach people because of love, but because of need. Kanika advises not to finish a task completely, but to leave something to be desired by for others. In Kanika's estimation, a king well versed with statecraft was like a tree decked with flowers, but without fruit. Even if fruits were to grow, they must be out of the reach of people. Furthermore, the fruit should appear raw, even if they are ripe. He who has not been afflicted with calamity can never experience prosperity in Kanika's estimation. For someone afflicted with a pain, Kanika advised that such people should be consoled with the recitation of the tales of Rama and Nala. A peace treaty with an enemy is no reason to become complacent. Kanika liked such a complacent person to someone sleeping at the top of the tree and liable to fall down upon waking up. With all these pearls of wisdom, Kanika concluded his counsel to Dhritarashtra. The king was left in a melancholy and pensive mood. Thus, ends the Sambhava Parva, and the stage was set for the conspiracy to burn the Pandavas at Varnavrata and for Jatugriha Parva to begin.